Bust it.
That neither myself, the Deputy Senate President, the Honorable Speaker, the leadership here, belong to the class of politicians that is desperate to stay in power by all means and at all costs. The day 2/3 of our members do not have confidence in any of us, we will leave this place. The siege was also an act of cowardice by those seeking to carry out an illegal impeachment of leaders of the Senate in flagrant disregard of the law. People who seek to control at all costs by whatever means, never minding the injury to the democratic norms. The acting president did the right thing. However, the damage control so far does not address of how this happened in the first place.
Senate President Bukola Saraki at the World Press Conference he called yesterday over the DSS siege on the National Assembly complex. Well, for those of you who listened to the Senate President, Bukola Saraki, yesterday, he also threw light on so many things he felt the legislature was unhappy about. He actually asked the president to, as a matter of urgency, sign into law the Electoral Act Amendment Bill 2018. Welcome to Political Platform. My name is Shola Jaisimi. It's an interesting week so far, and of course, lots of things happened on the political and governance scene yesterday, talking about Wednesday, August the 8th. Now, we'll go to Akwa Ibom, where at long last, as those who are in support of what he did will say, Senator Godswill Akpabio has joined the ruling party, the APC. What does this portend for politics in Akwa Ibom State? We'll be joining the PDP publicity secretary in that state, Ini Essian. He was on the program on Tuesday and he said clearly that this may not happen. We are not sure until it happens. Now it has happened. He'll be telling us the import of this defection to the ruling party in the state and how people in the PDP, members of this party, perceive the decampment of a key member of the PDP, a two-term governor of that state. The name is Shola Jaisimi. Well, my colleagues are still trying to ensure that lots of political happenings across Nigeria are brought to you. So I'll be on the program alone. Now, let's go to the piece of information that we got yesterday about the freeze by a court, so rather by the EFCC, of the accounts of Benue and Akwa Ibom State. Is it the right step in the right direction? Does the EFCC, does it have the right to freeze the accounts of a state? Why I'm asking this is because a court ruled that anything that has to do with the accounts of a state should fall under the purview of a House of Assembly. And my colleague, Dr. Amechi Anakwe, has tried to get across to Wilson Ewujare, the EFCC spokesperson, to ask him questions whether this is a legal step taken by the anti-graft agency. In the course of the program, we'll find out whether Wilson will be speaking to us. Another piece of interesting news in Osun State. It seems the coast is clear now for Demola Adeleke to contest the governorship of Osun, September, just a few 6-7 weeks away from now. A court has ruled that there were those who filed the suit against him for alleged non-possession of a secondary school certificate do not have the locus to do so. So, as it smiles all the way in the camp of the, quote, the dancing senator. The APC is probably waiting in the wings to find out. And will those who went to court over this go to the Court of Appeal days, weeks before this governorship election on who will replace Rauf Aregbesola at Government House, Oshogbo. These are some of the things we'll be bringing to you in the course of the program. There are also reports that the EFCC is set to interrogate the dismissed Director General of the DSS, Maman Daura. It was also reported in the media that when the sack of his when the news of his sack was announced, that there was jubilation galore in DSS formations across the country. How true is all this? That's the package we have for you. But first, we will be taking a short break to bring you the meals.
Thanks for staying with us. It's the meal segment, and I am Ife Nwanwobi.
And I am Etenikan Akipu. You're welcome.
Let's start with some reactions on Senator Akpabio's defection. And this is coming from Comrade Edidion Akban, who writes from Nyanya in Abuja. He says, "Good morning, platform crew. I watched on television from power supplied through my I Pass My Neighbor generator, though with a feeling of nostalgia, the formal defection of Senator Godswill Akpabio. One thing stood out clear. The crowd was without equal. But a careful and truthful observant will also testify about the disagreement, discontentment, and dissatisfaction expressed in various ways and manners by our fellow countrymen and women in Ekorekbene over the defection of Akpabio from his former party, PDP, on whose platform he was made a governor for 8 years and a senator till date. Although his resolve not to risk a jail term as alleged is understood, many of us in Akwa Ibom would have preferred he stood his grounds, hold his head up, and we will all stand by him, knowing the role he played in the transformation of our state. We wish him well in his new party, and we assure him that when the tide is low and he desires a return, the PDP doors are open. In Akwa Ibom, PDP runs in the blood. Long live Akwa Ibom State."
Good morning, Senator. In Madala, Niger State, says it's no longer news that Senator Godswill Akpabio has defected to the ruling All Progressive Congress, APC. As surprising as that may be, it is too late to cry when the head is off. His defection makes Nigerians understand that all that glitters is not gold. Politicians eat with double spoon, so Nigerians should no longer bet their lives on any politician, no matter how juicy and serious their promises may sound. God help Nigeria.
Away from that, on the freezing of accounts belonging to Akwa Ibom State and Benue, this person says his name is Collins Eze, right from Kubwa in Abuja, and he starts by saying, "Their crew, what offense did the good people of Akwa Ibom and Benue states commit to have their accounts frozen in this manner? When Governor Tom was with APC, he was declared a saint, likewise Governor Udom, while he was in good terms with Senator Akpabio. This is also the same treatment meted out to Governor Fayose of Ekiti State. For the records, both Kogi and Osun states were among the few states that received bailout funds from the federal government, and apart from still owing salaries and allowances, these states have also done almost nothing in terms of improving the living standards of their citizens. While I support the fight against corruption, I also want it to go round other states, especially those that received the federal government bailout funds. The anti-graft agencies must not be seen as acting the script of the government in power, as that will further deplete the confidence of Nigerians in the war against corruption. God bless Nigeria." That's all we can bring to you on today's meal segment. To keep it coming, the route hasn't changed. It's Political Platform at raypower.fm. Shola Jaisime will be back with the rest.
To the program, Political Platform. Like we told you, we will be joining Ini Essien. He is the Publicity Secretary of the PDP in Akwa Ibom State. Once we have him on the line, we will connect with him. So going back to the issues that we've put on the table for discussion this morning, the Senate President Bukola Saraki also asked President Muhammadu Buhari to, as a matter of urgency, sign into law the Electoral Act Amendment Bill. And this was probably premised upon the Court of Appeal decision last week that gave the National Assembly the powers to be able to tinker with the sequence of elections. That's one of the talking points this morning. So we'll be also be looking at this and also be trending on other aspects of what we've lined up for you. While we await Ini Essien to join the program, one of our other colleagues, Edouard Basi Abaikong, will also be joining us. So let's find out the issues around yesterday. You heard in the mails some of our callers, some of our listeners, and those who follow through on the program expressing their views about what they think is the situation across the country. Condemnations, thumbs down for what happened. Some have given kudos to Godswill Akpabio. But looking at the issues, how will the PDP feel about this? That's what Ini is supposed to have told us. Once he joins us, we will put him on. In the APC, there are many other bigwigs, because I kept wondering, some of those who left the PDP to join the APC, I'm talking about someone like the NDDC Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer, Nsima, who in fact was the Deputy Governor to Godswill Akpabio, but due to irreconcilable differences, he had to resign that appointment and he decamped to the APC. Now, himself and the governor of the former governor, and also who was the foremost minority leader in the Senate, Godswill Akpabio, would they be staying together in the same camp? Well, some say politics is a game of interests, is also a game of numbers. So while we await our colleagues to join us, talking about Idongesi Ikanga, to give us his perspectives as the correspondent who has been in Akwa Ibom for Dark Communications for years, we will also go back to the discussion on the press conference by the Senate President. One key highlight of the press conference, you heard in the clip, the earlier clip we played for you, the Senate President saying, look, he is not desirous of holding on to the post of Senate President. The leader of the APC, I saw him yesterday at Ikorekmene, Adam Soshomele, with his traditional left hand, for those of you who know him, when he was in the union, we covered his activities very well in those early days. And when he raises that his left hand, it's like as if everything must happen. That's talking about labor issues. But now it's politics. He has asked Senator Saraki not once, not twice, that look, give us back our crown. We need our crown. But legal experts have also shared that, look, once Senator Saraki has the backing of his colleagues, nobody can take that position away from him. That until they can muster 73 senators. And that's what Senator Bukola Saraki emphasized at that World Press Conference yesterday. But something very instructive for those who watched the clip, who watched that 12-minute broadcast by Senator Saraki, which our sister station, AIT, took live. I don't know whether you saw members of the All Progressives Congress who are members of National Assembly at that press conference. Well, I didn't see. And the insinuations are that it was clearly one party press conference. But it's politics at the same time, federal lawmakers. So where does that leave the issues around what happened yesterday? The president is still in London, is on a short break, like the Aso Rock spokespersons have said. What are his thoughts on this? Does it really matter? He has somebody in place who has the authority to run the affairs of the country. I'm talking about the acting president who wielded the big stick yesterday and sent the DSS Director General packing and appointed somebody else. So we'll take a short break at this point, and when we come back, we'll hope to link up with Idongesi Ikanga so that he can give us perspectives on what is happening in Akwa Ibom State. Welcome back from the short break. Well, we are trying to get in touch with our colleague so that he can give us his perspectives on what is happening in Akwa Ibom State. And when he joined us yesterday, he also mentioned the fact that the governor of that state, talking about Governor Udo Emmanuel, he seems not to be allowing things to just lie. 2 commissioners have been sacked already, talking about Victor Atai and a cousin of Senator Godswill Akpabio, who was also given the boot. So these are political actions, political decisions ahead of 2019, which are being taken. Okay, we have Idon Gassit. Good morning. Good morning. Thank you for finally linking up with us. Now, I was just telling our listeners that as it stands now, it seems like the APC is gaining more ground. You were at Ikorekpene yesterday during the defection party, as some have called it, for former governor and now Senator Godswill Akpabio. What was the mood like?
Well, for one thing you cannot take away from Godswill Akpabio is that he's well loved and he's a showman. But I think that a lot of people in that crowd all came to really see what was happening. And let's also not forget, because we went around and we also found out that a lot of the crowd were mobilized from other states.
Okay, when you say a lot of, you saw there the usual people you don't see at political rallies in Akwa Ibom.
Yeah, a lot of them, even from the language they spoke, we moved around the crowd. A lot of them were mobilized from other states. So those are not the usual people you see in political rallies. So you couldn't really judge by the crowd you saw yesterday. And if you also watch from TV, they were a little passive, or should I say a little docile.
Okay, Idon Gassit, the political bigwigs in Ikorekpene, that senatorial zone, were they at this rally?
Come again?
The political bigwigs in that senatorial district, of which Ikorekpene is the main town, were they at this rally?
I say there were something like only 5%? Because most of them are in the PDP and have chosen to remain in the PDP.
Okay, now there are reports that the EFCC, we've tried to get across to Wilson Ewujare, the spokesperson of the anti-graft agency, the EFCC. When news filtered into Uyo, the state capital, from where you operate, to cover the 27 local government areas of Akwa Ibom State, that the EFCC had frozen the accounts of Akwa Ibom State. What was the reaction from the state government?
I spoke to the Commissioner for Information this morning. I am actually on my way to have more details from him. He confirmed that EFCC has frozen the state account. And from phone conversations I've had with people across, there's general anger at the development.
Now, what does this portend for the finances of Akwa Ibom and running of government, public finances, salaries, and all that? Your perspective?
Well, when the Federal Accounts Allocation Committee had the impasse for 2 months, Akwa Ibom was one of the states that didn't owe civil servants salaries. They were paid on time, as usual. I think that it's all down to the financial, the governor is a financial expert, so he was able to get around it. And I think that he's going to use his financial expertise to get around this matter. But I hope that people hope that it won't be for long. And so I don't think that much will be affected, even though some other things will be affected. I don't think that the salary of civil servants will be affected, except it's prolonged.
Okay. So, Idon Gassit, going back to the rally yesterday at Ikorekpene, you were there live. I brought up something during the course of this program about the fact that people such as, political heavyweights such as Nsima, the former deputy governor who had differences with Godswill Akpabio when, they were in office, he resigned. He's the stalwart of the APC now. He's gotten a plum position as MD of the NDDC. Now, did you see both of them getting chummy yesterday at that event? Was Nsima, was he there?
Ekere.
Yes, Ekere. Nsima Ekere.
A lot of people have been looking forward to seeing how this, because it's a marriage of strange bedfellows. Nsima Ekere was the deputy governor. He was Akpabio's deputy.
Yes.
And almost got impeached. And I think to escape impeachment, when they fell out, he had to resign. And then Umanu Mana, who was also a chieftain of the APC now, was the secretary to the state government under Akpabio. And he was at that time like the favored candidate to take over from Akpabio. And but they fell out, and Akpabio pushed him out of the cabinet. So now Akpabio, and of course Senator James Udoedege was the Director General of Akpabio's campaign organization, and also the governorship candidate. When they fell out, he moved over to the ACN, which later merged to become the APC now. And so they fell out, and he contested the election. He was at the time in prison and charged for murder by the state government. Now, these people are in the APC, and Akpabio has just moved over from the PDP to the APC to meet these people. And people are wondering, how is this marriage going to look like? How is this relationship going to pan out? And it's something that we are going to watch out in the coming days.
Okay, just before I let you go, you don't guess it. One more thing. In the camp of the governor of Akwa Ibom State, you're also accredited to cover Government House Uyo. Are they panicky?
Well, I don't think there's any panic, but I think one thing that is a general consensus is that there is work to be done, but there's no panic.
Okay, work to be done in terms of regalvanizing the political associates of the former governor?
Yes, re-strategizing and stepping up the game a notch.
Okay, your last take now. Where do you see the primaries are coming for the various political parties? Who, in your view, do you think might be wanting to square up against Governor Udom Emmanuel from the APC? Who do you think might want to emerge? Does the former deputy governor, who is now in the NDDC, Nsima Ekere, or is it Umana, a former SSG, who is now MD of the Nigerian Export Processing Zones Authority? Who amongst these bigwigs do you think can emerge to tackle the governor, who clearly is seeking a second term?
And it's an open secret in Akwa Ibom that Nsima Ekere, the current MD of NDDC, is positioning himself to run for governorship under the APC. And I think he's, before now, I don't know what's going to happen with the defection of Godswill Akpabio now, but before now, every party structure and machinery was working towards his governorship. But Umana has openly declared that he is not interested in the governorship, and so he's thrown his weight behind Nsima Ekere. But there's also the only other person who I think will challenge Nsima Ekere for the governorship ticket of APC is Senator Udoedege. Remember, he was the governorship candidate for the ACN.
Yes, and he was former senator here in Abuja.
Yes, former Minister of State for the FCT. So he was the arrowhead of the ACN and APC. But I think with the coming of Nsima Ekere and Umanu Mana, they seem to have taken the shine off him a little bit, and there were problems. I think they are trying to resolve that. But with the coming in of Akpabio now, because we hear all manner of stories that Akpabio is not favorably disposed towards having Nsima Ekere as the governorship candidate, that he is actually looking for somebody else from the Oro ethnic group.
Okay,
so,
in compliance with the rotational principle in Akwa Ibom for the governorship position.
Yes, at the moment, Governor Udom Emmanuel is from Eket Senatorial District. And Nsima Ekere is from Eket Senatorial District. And and the Oro Nation are part of Eket Senatorial District.
Okay.
So that's the tripod in Akwa Ibom is Ikorekwene, Uyo, Ikorekpene, and Eket. Governor Victor Otta was from Uyo Senatorial District. Godswill Akpabio from Ikorekpene Senatorial District, and at the moment, Udom Emmanuel from Eket Senatorial District. So the power is in Eket, and I think the parties are all looking to grab Eket Senatorial District.
Okay. Sincerely like to thank you, Idon Gese Ikanga, our correspondent in Akwa Ibom State, for your deep analysis of the politics of that state. Thank you very much for joining us on Political Platform.
You're welcome.
And just before we go, we'd like to also tell you that shortly after Senate President Bukola Saraki held that World Press Conference, he headed to the hilltop mansion of General Ibrahim Babangida, Nigeria's former military president, to hold a closed-door meeting. What are the details? We don't know. But of course, politics is in the air, and everybody sorts of goes to the Mecca of sorts as the home of the IBB, and General Abdulrahman Bakar in Mina are referred to when it comes to political calculations. My name is Shola Jaisime. You can also join us later this evening on AIT Abuja to watch the program. Have a lovely Thursday.